Welcome to the ArmChair GM podcast. I'm Chris, and that's Dylan. Since our last episode, the Flames have had plenty of ups and downs, and somehow managed to get 5 out of a possible 10 points on this gauntlet of a road trip. Sorry gets demoted to the fourth line, and somehow that sparks just an unreal amount of offense. Frost and Farabee return home. Frost picks up 2 points in his efforts. So let's get back into the week that was. Welcome to the ArmChair GM podcast.
Well, in a turn of events from the last 20 years or so, the Flames decided to make a bad goalie look bad and make all the good goalies look good.
Yeah. They just thought they would change it up.
Why not, right? Do what the rest of the league does instead of making all the good goalies look bad and making the bad goalies look elite like they usually do. Of course, what we're talking about is the Flames not being able to score for, 3 games?
Yeah, 2 and a bit.
Yeah, they scored 0 against Tampa Bay, 0 against Florida, 1 against Carolina, and then exploded for 6 against the Flyers. So kind of a down then up week the Flames had. They're still, I don't have the standings up, I'll pull it up, but they're still pretty close to a top 10 pick, but yet they're still in the playoffs. So
Right.
this season is fucked.
So you're saying there's a chance? Yes, there's literally a chance for anything to happen at this point.
Yeah.
Which is exactly where we did not want to be at this point in the season.
Exactly. Right? So we are, what are we, 2 points up on the Canucks. We've played one more game for the second wild card spot. And if I can go to the league, we are just about, 67, 60. We're 4 points out of a top 10 pick.
Yep.
So
it's so unbelievably close right now in the bottom half of the league.
And that is between 16th and 23rd. And then also 24th, I guess. So we're 4 points out of a top 9 pick.
Yeah. And even then, it's, we're 5 points out of a top 8 and 5 points out of a top 7 and only 6 points out of a,
Yeah. But
it's unreal.
But here we are in the playoffs.
Right. Exactly where we thought we would be.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if you had told me that we'd be 4 points out of a top 10 pick at this point in the season. But I would be surprised if you told me that we were in the playoffs. Like at the start of the season, if you told me with 1 game left before the trade deadline, the Flames were in a playoff spot, I'd be like, you're high.
Right. Yeah. Battling back and forth against the Canucks for the final wild card. I wouldn't have believed you. Right.
The Canucks without JT Miller, without Quinn Hughes, and with Elias Pettersson, who looks more like James Neal than Elias Pettersson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're saying JT wasn't the problem in the room?
No, he wasn't. Huh. And I'll say it. I think I said it on this show a couple weeks ago when JT Miller got traded, right before JT Miller got traded. If he was in Calgary, by now, every Flames fan would love the fuck out of him. He's a bit of a dick in the dressing room from what I hear, but his play is exactly what Flames fans love. Scoring, physicality, fuck. Anyways, we're not here to talk about the Canucks or the Rangers.
I'm not sad to not play against him. Like we played against him a number of times over the last few years, and obviously as a Flames fan, you kind of develop a bit of a hatred for the guy just based upon what he's able to do against your team. So
Yeah, but it's no
yeah,
different than it's no different than when Kachuk was on our team. We loved that,
totally.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
now when we play against him, we, as Flames fans, we all kind of laugh about what he's doing because we know what it is, but it kind of sucks. I love it, to
Mhm.
be honest, but most Flames fans are like, "Oh, what a dick! I hate that guy now," and I'm just like,
I mean,
he's doing what he
but
always did.
now in typical Golden Knight fashion, he's out to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe that he would take the finals of the Four Nations off, like the final game, the last two periods of the final game off, if
Yeah.
there wasn't a serious problem.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I don't think that he's milking it
I
or
don't think
faking
he's
it. I
got
mean,
that "I'm not gonna play" in him.
no,
Yeah.
no, not at all. Yeah, not at all.
He's
No,
he's
in
still
fact,
one of my
it's the
favorite
exact
person.
opposite. Yeah, it's the exact opposite. Like we know that he'll play through some shit just because.
Yeah. So, the Flames, going back to
Oh yeah,
that,
who?
um, woohoo, what an exciting week. Started off on I mean, obviously, we did a post game show about the Capitals game where Vladar was lights out, and then we go on to Tampa where the Flames decide to. Actually, I don't think they played that bad in that game, but they probably didn't deserve to win, but they didn't deserve to be shut out, in my opinion. In that game, I thought in the Florida game they deserved to have like negative amount of goals,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
I can
thought they
agree
would
with
take
that.
it because they
Yeah,
were.
they were definitely better in Tampa for sure. Um, and I don't really want to go out on the hot goalie type mantra because yes, it does happen on occasion. I don't think that's really what happened to us against Tampa. I think typical Flames where we're really good at hitting the crest. He did make some nice saves for sure, but perimeter shots and 28 of them isn't going to win you hockey games, right?
No, I do think that the Flames or that Vasilevsky played quite well. Like it's not like he wasn't bad. He was good. He was probably better than
Mhm.
good, but it's not like
Yeah,
he was playing like a stone wall, right? Like the
yeah,
Flames probably should have got a goal or two, but but
yeah,
they didn't deserve to win that game, right? Like
yeah.
is what it is.
Obviously, he played well. He got the shutout, and
Yeah.
but he just didn't have to stand on his head to get it.
Yeah, exactly. Um and then we
I
moved
mean,
on to that Florida game where Bobrovsky played out of his mind. Was that after the Spencer? No, that was right before the Spencer Knight trade, I believe. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
That was some
again,
good. That was some goaltending for sure. That there was definitely a difference in the flow, but he was he was good.
yeah, I saw with I can't remember whose model it was I was looking at, but the Flames had 6 high danger opportunities, and the Panthers had 27.
I mean,
I want to
they,
say it was natural stat trick, but I could be wrong.
they are the defending cup champions, right? So there should be a difference between the level of play between the Florida Panthers and the Calgary Flames
But they
at this
also,
stage of the retool. They also
I
didn't have their
believe,
top
we won
guy,
the last
but
game against them. And they
we've
don't have
we've
Kachuk, they don't have Montour, they don't
mm,
have all sorts um, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, they don't have
mm,
a bunch of players that they had last year. Don't get me wrong, like a line of Verhage and Barkov and Reinhardt is still elite. And then they still have like the Lustereinens and the Lundells and all of those guys who are also great players, right? And
Mhm.
but they're missing a bunch of their really good players. I think, and I said this a few times online, but it looked like the Flames, except for the goalie, the Flames looked like they got injected with lactic acid right before the game.
Right.
They just looked like their knees weren't working. They looked like their legs weren't working. They looked like their hips weren't swiveling. Yeah, that just couldn't move. Like none of them, all of them, even like Zeri, who hasn't played more than a couple games in the last couple months, and you know everybody just
Yeah.
looked bad that game except for the goalie.
Yeah. So, yeah, Vladar didn't really have much of a chance, to be honest with you. I mean, he shut the door in the first period, looked really good. Um, and then there was just a bit of an onslaught there in the second, and unfortunately, they got two past him, and that kind of took the whatever wind may have been in the sails of the Flames out.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Flames themselves did not deserve to walk away with any sort of point or anything in that game.
No,
Yeah.
but to give him credit, because you and I have spent basically a couple of years talking about how shit Vladar has been, but
Mhm.
his last two games have been
Yeah.
borderline, if not elite.
Yeah.
I thought even though he lost 3-0 in that game, I thought that that was probably the best game I can remember him ever having as a Flame.
Mhm.
He was tracking pucks. He wasn't, and he's been doing this more this year, but he's been tracking it instead of just blocking it.
Mhm.
I feel like Dustin Wolf has been working with him a little bit and teaching him how to track, like the tracking and the movement a little bit better instead of just being a big body, which is what Vladar has been in the past. And I think that's really benefiting him a lot. Um, Either that or he's just watching Wolf and taking lessons from what he sees. But it that's what it seems
Sure,
like to me.
I'm sure it's a bit of all of that, right? I
Yeah.
mean, he's played most of his career by being somewhat of a lacrosse goalie, right? Just big and bulky and in the way. The puck hits him. He doesn't necessarily know what direction it's going to bounce off of him. In fact, he rarely knows where it's going to go once it hits him. But this year, he definitely has more control. He's still giving out way too much on the rebound side of things, but he is at least his side to side movement is seems to be improving this year for sure. He seems to know where the puck is, even though he can't control his rebounds yet. I mean, Florida threw 42 shots at him, I think, right? Stopped 39
Um,
of them.
I can check for you while you talk.
Hmm? Yeah, so I'm pretty sure they in a pretty high volume, but also in that a lot of them
42.
high danger chances. So I mean, the fact that he walked away out of the first with no goals because they came in pretty strong there in the first and peppered him pretty hard, and he weathered that storm without a team kind of in front of him helping out with that battle.
Yeah.
And then like I said, in that second period, I think he allowed the two goals, and that I mean the writing was on the wall 5 minutes into the game. You kind of knew what the outcome was going to be. I just didn't think that Vladar was going to be quite as good as he was, because
Yeah.
that game had a very high likelihood of possibly being a 6-8 nothing.
Honestly, if Vladar played how he's been playing the majority of this year, it would have been six,
Yeah,
5, 6, 7,
totally,
nothing. Um,
totally.
and when we talk about Vladar, I was just looking up the size of some of the other guys he's played behind. Um,
Mhm.
but when we're talking about Vladar learning from Wolf, like he's never learned from somebody quite like that. Like Rask could move, but he also was big enough to just get in the way. And
Yeah,
Markstrom could move a little bit, but he was also just big enough to get in the way.
yeah,
So Vladar was learning from veteran goaltenders who have similar, if not quite as much size as he does. Whereas now he's he's seeing, a small guy who has to track better and has to move better. And like Tuukka Rask and Jacob Markstrom are both very good goaltenders, but they both rely on their size way more than Dustin Wolf ever will, right?
Absolutely. And and obviously we all know, Dustin Wolf, he's not the biggest guy in the net, but he's got really good movement. So I mean, it's
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
if you're if you're able to pick up some tips and tricks from that, obviously it's going to improve your game. Because if you can add some of that athleticism to the size, then good things should happen if you can pick it up and include it as part of your repertoire.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Um, I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time on those two shitty games. Given we scored in Carolina, it was a 2-1 overtime loss. Now the Panthers are the second best team in the league when it comes to possession and quality chances, but the Hurricanes are number one in both of those statistics or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it. Um, so the fact that they only scored two and one of them was in overtime was pretty good, but it was
Mhm.
also, they had 33 shots to our 16. I had a lot of people coming at me on social media telling me how good the Flames were against the Hurricanes and how they got a point and I should shut up about how they didn't play good. Dude, they did not play good at all. Like
No.
they were straight up terrible.
Yeah.
They had like a
Yeah.
little bit of juice at the beginning of the second and a little bit of juice in like the middle of the third. But that first period, was it that game when they had one shot in the first period? I believe it was.
Yep. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, like
Also
that's
noticeable about the Carolina game, Sharon Govich and Braden Bahal were both scratches for that game.
right. Yep.
Um, Not that obviously this year Sharon Govich would have been any sort of contribution to a game like that. I mean, we only had 16 shots total in the game, right? That's just, I mean, it's pathetic.
It is
Absolutely.
pathetic. And
Yeah,
the Flames
yeah.
in the last
One
week,
shot in the first.
yeah, in the last week, the Flames have wasted a couple of really, really, really good goaltending performances, and this was absolutely one of them.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Also, I wanted to talk about that overtime goal a little bit. I saw a lot of people shitting on Rasmus Anderson about it, and I get it because he was on the ice for like 3 minutes, but Carolina was in the attacking zone for 3 minutes. Every time they in came in on the other side of the blue line, they came right back in right away. You know what I mean?
yeah.
He didn't have the chance to get off, and if he did try, it would have been the game would have been even shorter because there
Yeah.
would have been no defender on the ice. Well, Aho and whoever else, or Svechnikov or whoever was coming in with two other guys on Wolf. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Because he was on the ice for what, like 2 minutes and like 7 seconds or some freaking thing.
I think it was close to 3 minutes. I could be wrong, but I think it was close to
Yeah,
3 minutes. And
yeah, it was a ton of time.
yeah, and given, I mean, Anderson's one of my favorite players on the team. He's been not good for the past month and a half, maybe even a little bit longer. But I can't shit on him for that. You can
Right.
shit, and it's the same with Michael Backlund. Man, Backlund in the Carolina game was so fucking good. He
Yeah,
was the rest of the
yeah.
team, but Backlund and Wolf were terrible. But Backlund, I don't know if you saw his penalty killing time. So many
Oh yeah,
people are shitting on him, but like the power plays that Carolina had, Backlund was deflecting all of the shots. He was blocking all the passes. He was clearing the zone. Like, he was in the middle of everything, and he was stopping. Like, I think that if you had to ask Wolf why that game was only 2-1, he would have said if it wasn't for Backlund, it would have been 4-1 or 5-1.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We had 17 minutes in penalties, right?
Yeah, I think that includes a misconduct, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the only power play goal was Kadri, right? Yeah, Carolina didn't score anything on the power play at all. So I mean, and they're pretty potent when it comes to their offense when they're on the power play as well. But you're right, Backlund, and he's shown it for years, just
Years.
how good he is at that, at shutting down elite players in times of adversity. Like
Yeah.
he's really damn good at it.
I agree, and I think the last couple games he's been very, very good at it. But again, like Anderson, he's had a really tough season for the most part.
He's he's had a really tough, almost 2 full seasons.
Backlund?
No, Anderson.
Yeah. Backlund has had a really tough this season, I think.
As far as points, I mean, as far as his responsible play and his defensive play, I mean, I don't find a lot of flaws in what he's doing there. But I mean, points wise, yeah, for sure. But I mean, like he hasn't like, his career hasn't been made on points.
No, his career's not made on points, but I also think, and like, you know me, I'm a huge Backlund fan, but I also think his defensive play for about a month and a half, even 2 months, like Steinberg's been saying he's been hurt for months, and it's shown.
Yeah.
It's shown.
It,
Like, even his defensive play has not been great for a big chunk of this season. But I think since the break, since the fucking Four Nations nonsense break, I think Backlund has come back and been Backlund again, and it's been great.
yeah, 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 yeah. I can agree with you. He has looked pretty slow and kind of labored in some awkward situations, right? Or even just basic situations. He's not as physical as he once was. He's yeah, yeah. I see your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do see your
Um.
point. It's unfortunate, right? Because I mean, he's getting near the
Twilight.
the highlight of it, or his twilight of his career, and you definitely want to see him go out in style. But I mean, and then he has a game, like he did in Carolina, where he's just kind of lights out in the defense department, and is like, okay, well, do that. That's fine.
That was a Selke Trophy winning game. Like, he's not going to win it, but
Right.
that, like, if he had games like that all the time, he'd be winning the Selke Trophy, and there wouldn't. I don't even think it would be close.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time to talk about Nazem Kadri, the guy who broke the scoreless streak of, what was it, 172 minutes or something? No, that was something like that.
No, that was the record, but
Yeah,
yeah,
100 and
whatever the minutes are.
however many minutes it was, far too long.
Yeah.
So yay, he scored. It was a nice goal on the power play. The Flames desperately needed the goal, but he was the reason Slavin scored the first goal.
Correct.
And
Yes, absolutely
I'm
correct.
this play is why I'm fucking sick and tired of watching this player. He got knocked down on the boards right next to our blue line.
Yeah.
He sat there for like 4 full seconds with his arms out, complaining to the refs, while the other team went on a odd man rush and scored.
Yeah.
Dude, get the fuck up and play defense. If he got up and changed, the other guy would have been able to get on and get back and get a stick in the way. If he just got up and started skating, he could have caught the other guy, because the other guy wasn't moving that fast, and he could have defended the other player.
Yeah.
To me, that is bad leadership. That is bad fucking, like, Nazem Kadri has a ton of heart, but that play was fucking garbage.
Yeah, it
That's
was whiny
inexcusable.
garbage. He was 2 feet from his own bench. So if you want to complain to the ref, whatever, get off the fucking ice and let somebody play the game. The game is still going on, regardless of how you feel about it and how you pout about it while sitting on the ice. It was, should it have been a penalty? Probably. That's irrelevant.
I'm not
It
even
wasn't
sold if it
called.
should have been, but you're right. It's irrelevant. Get up and
And
keep playing.
just be a professional, for fuck's sake.
You're a lot more
People keep
likely to get the
talking about
goal if
how,
you're not pouting.
absolutely. People keep talking about how he should be the captain, and I've always called bullshit on that. And that what you just described in the game against Carolina is a prime example of why he should not have the C on his chest.
Yeah.
You cannot teach younger players coming up into the system to play that way, to be a whiny bitch because the call doesn't go your way.
Yeah.
And he
And the
does it
thing is like I don't
constantly.
even mind the misconduct. I don't mind him being mad that it wasn't a penalty while
Sure.
he's on the bench after the play is over.
Right.
Sure, get mad, talk to the refs, yell, scream, whatever. But the play is still going on. Wait until the play is over and then do something about it.
Right. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
garbage.
Yeah. Showing emotion and stuff like that, that's all part of it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Sitting there pouting on the ice is not showing emotion. That's
If you
being a
get up and
child.
start skating and yell at the ref, that's fine.
Sure.
Get up and start fucking skating. That
Yeah.
goal
As you're skating back
likely
into
wouldn't
the
have happened
play,
if you got up and skated.
that's right. As you're skating back to the play, sure, turn your head and yell at the ref as you do it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But do something.
Yeah.
Do something. Anything. My preference would be for him just to get off the ice at that time because he's going to be irrelevant because he's so hopping mad and
Yeah.
doing playing the victim card. Just get off the ice, let somebody else play hockey, or play hockey yourself. I mean, I really don't care, but like I said, my preference would be for him just skate off the ice at that moment because he was like 2 feet from the bench. Like, just get off the ice. Takes a second.
Yep. Yep. I totally agree. Again, like neither of us are Kadri fans, as anyone who's listened to this probably understands and has heard 100 times. But here's the thing: like on last week's show, I stopped and gave Kadri a lot of credit because he wasn't playing selfish and he wasn't diving as much and he
Mhm.
wasn't embellishing so much. And then that happened, and I was like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah,
Like
an egregious
straight up,
one, right? Like he made up for 3 games worth of not doing it.
yeah. I could have easily, like, if I'm not a ref, but if I was a ref, I would probably legitimately be able to call embellishment on Kadri once every game and a half.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'd say either every game or two type of thing. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
he does that shit all the time. He'll fucking either he'll dive or he'll put himself in a position where he can dive instead of actually getting tripped, or he'll fucking do something like that and sit on the ice and yell. He did that pretty much every game his first year in Calgary. That's all he did is he fucking sat on the ice and screamed at the refs. Like,
Yeah.
but then he
Yeah.
scored, so everyone was like, "Oh, see, Kadri's the best," blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, "Well, the game wouldn't be tied if he did that. If he hadn't done that,
That's
he'd
right.
be up 1-0."
Well, I mean, yeah, it's the numbers don't lie. Had he not done that, it would not have gone into overtime, and we would have won the game, right?
Yeah,
Based on the outcome of the goals throughout the game, he was
yeah,
legitimately the reason why they scored the first goal. We would have been up 1-0 and on our way to Philly.
yeah. All
But
right, on our way to Philly.
on our way to Philly, what a game!
Jacob Peltier, Andre Kuzmenko, Morgan Frost, Joel Farabee, all playing against their former teams.
Yep.
And the Flames were like, you know what? We haven't scored in like 2.5 games.
Let's score 2.5 games worth of goals right now.
So yeah, let's just fix the entire problem right now by facing the league's worst by a long shot goalie tandem. I think
Come on.
they're at an 885 or something like that right now between the two of them.
Yeah.
Which is absurd. So going into the game, you're like, know what? Zeri's been back for a few games, hasn't looked great. So kind of understand why Huska threw him on the fourth line. And again, I'm a huge fan of Zeri, but you kind of get it because he kind of has had cement shoes on in all of the games that he's been back. Made a couple of nice plays, hasn't really, um, popped at all like he usually does. But he popped in
Yeah.
the first period of this game.
Yeah. No, he actually, you could tell that he took it to heart, which is pretty much the intention from Huska putting him on the fourth, right?
Absolutely.
You know, like, and that's exactly what you want from your young, you know, future, franchise type player. If he can develop into that, is to have a message sent to him. He receives the message. He responds to the message, and you move on.
Let's
There's really nothing more that needs to happen during that, right?
let's not call him
Gives him the
franchise.
message, and he does.
Don't
No,
call
I
him.
know. I was trying to think of the word for him, and you know, at
Second
least
line
top
center.
six, right? Top six guy for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, guy who probably can play some first line minutes at some point in his career, but probably settles into a second line role. I really like Zeri. He's actually my favorite forward on the team, although Coronado's getting up there, but Zeri's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
But about what was it? Almost 8 minutes into the first period, Braden Pahal with a nice little shot from the point. Zeri doing what Zeri does best, looking like Sean Monahan out there wrestling for position in front of the net with the little nifty tip, puts it right past Sam Erson.
Yeah, you think of like we quietly, 5 guys on the Flames had 2-point nights, which is pretty awesome, right? That that game was a complete effort.
Absolutely.
Obviously,
It,
Zari
it
got
was
him
a really
going,
good.
but yeah, Zari got him going. But you got Huberdeau 2 points with 2 assists, Frost 2 assists, 2 goals from Zari, and a goal and assist from Kadri, and 2 assists from Uyghur. Sorry, a goal and assist from Uyghur. My bad. It may not feel like it, but spring is right around the corner. Know how I can tell? Golfers are hitting the links, and we have some tournaments to talk about. And if you want to do more than just talk, put your money where your mouth is. Get in on all the tee to green action with DraftKings Sportsbook. From Thursday's opening round through to closing round Sunday, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with tournament props, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. If you've never bet on golf before, it's easier than you think. Just pick something simple like a golfer to win the tournament and make your pick. It's just that easy. Here's something special for first timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers. Get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only at DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
Yeah. So after Zeri scored, about 33 seconds later, Nazem Kadri comes and puts. It was a nice shot, but it was a little softy from Urson. Probably should have had it. I don't think he was screened or anything like that. I think again, it was a nice shot, but probably a bunch of these probably should have been saved from Urson. I'll give Zeri the tip, and Zeri's next goal, which only came a minute and 20 after Kadri's goal. That was straight out of like a Draisaitl or Rantanen type of book, where he saw an opening above the guy's shoulder and kind of banked it in off his mask. It looked like to me, although I didn't really look at the replay, but that's kind of what it looked like to me.
Yeah. Yeah, he shows some pretty brilliant signs of offense, right? And becoming a power forward, right? He drives the net well, he shoots well. It's
Yeah.
and he doesn't mind getting beat up in front of the net, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, he's also got some sick hands when it comes to making passes off the boards, I find as well. So hopefully he keeps on developing after that little stint he had where he was injured there. Hopefully that doesn't become a regular thing, but I don't know. I know he had a rough few games when he first returned, but the more I see Zeri, the more I enjoy watching him. Again, this specific game, playing against the worst goalies in the league this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So after that, the Flyers decided to make a little bit of a run, scoring two goals to close out the first period. Well, they didn't even close out the first period like that because Sharangovich scored right at the end of the first period. But
right.
Andrei Kuzmenko was sure fucking fired up when he scored against us there to make it 3-2.
Yeah, he sure was. Yeah, and good for him. Yeah, that's fine. He did absolutely nothing for the Flames this year. And so, yeah. I mean, he might as well score a point again. So that's fine.
Yeah. He has scored for Philly. He's got 2 goals and 3 assists in 6 games, 5 points in 6 games for Philly.
There you go.
So it turns out all you need to do to get Kuzmenko going is trade him. So maybe we should just sign him every year to a 1-year deal and then trade him to somebody for a first round pick every year.
I'm totally cool with that. And because it also helps his numbers. And, you know, we know he likes to score goals. So if we tell him that that's the plan, to sign here, we'll trade you by December.
Yeah.
And then you can go a little tear, potentially have yourself a little chance at the cup. Not that he's going to really have that chance playing in Philly. But honestly, if we sweeten the deal and get him to, you know, come back so we can do that, we can make a promise that we'll give him, you know, trade him to a, you know, top 6 team or top 8 team. You know, it's no problem.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably going back to Russia.
Think so?
I think so. I don't get the like, obviously he's a great guy in the locker room. Guys love him, and he's hilarious in the media, but I don't get the feeling like he's really invested in learning English, and I don't get the feeling like he's really invested in putting in the work it takes to grind out a full season in North America, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he does kind of go at it half-heartedly, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, as
Apparently
far as
Torch
I'm
loves
learning
him.
English, I don't really give a shit about him, the effort he puts in towards learning English, but you know that
I mean,
what
you got
I've
to be able
always
to
noticed
communicate
from
with
him,
your teammates.
sure, and he can communicate in enough ways in a hockey sense with his teammates. That I'm not worried about.
Okay.
What I was more worried about when it came to him is his play away from the puck and just how lazy it was, and you know
Yeah.
that was my criticism. You know, when he's engaged in putting the puck in the net, I mean, he looks really fucking good.
Yeah.
But if he's not putting the puck in the net, it's a stark contrast.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Speaking of not putting the puck in the net, although he put the puck in the net this game, Yegor Sharangovich.
See, he got sat, boom, scores goal.
So what you're
I mean,
saying is well, we're coming up with ridiculous plans like signing Kuzmenko every year and trading him every year.
mhm.
What we should do is sit Sharangovich every second game and then he'll score 41 goals.
What I'm saying is when Huska does something to send a message, his boys fucking listen.
Yeah.
That is good coaching,
And look at this too.
right?
But Hall got an assist
I
on
was
Zeri's
just going
goal.
to say that's right. So I mean, clearly, message sent, message received.
Yeah. And I just want to point this out too. Frost.
That's Jack Adams territory too, by the way.
Yeah. Frost with the assist on Sharangovich's goal. Those two
Second one.
have a connection. I'm pretty sure since Frost joined, Sharangovich has assisted on Frost's goals, and Frost has assisted on Sharangovich's goals, and they've both assisted, even though obviously it doesn't count, but they've assisted on each other's great chances many times.
Mhm.
I think those two have a future as line mates.
I can see that. And I don't have a problem with that either. I mean, I really do like what Frost brings to the team. He does have some really good skill. I've been really impressed with him. I honestly didn't know much about him at all before we got him, other than you look up his stats and you're kind of excited about his face-off percentage. But other than that, there wasn't really a lot to know about the guy per se, as far as I was concerned. But watching him on the ice, he's actually quite exciting to watch. He tries to make a lot of things happen.
So this is going to be a weird comparison considering the guy's gone on waivers twice this year, 2 or 3 times this year. But you remember how Walker Dewar looked in his first year?
Yeah,
Not the physical side, but with the dangles and the nifty passes and the shooting. That
right.
Frost kind of reminds me of that element, and I like it. Obviously higher skill, but and
Yeah,
more consistent at it than Dewar ever was. But um, the stuff that made Flames fans be like, "Oh, Dewar's more than a fourth line winger"
yeah.
in his first season in Calgary is the stuff that I see from Frost.
Well, I mean, in everybody else's defense, at least from as far as I'm concerned, I was one of those ones that was pretty excited about Dewar after that first season.
We
But
both were.
yeah, it was really nice to see. But yeah, I mean, I can see some comparisons, I guess, but I do think Frost has a lot more just raw talent and
Oh,
ability.
absolutely.
I think, and I think given the right line mate, I can foresee him and Sharangovich, you know, potting quite a few in the future together.
How would you feel about Sharon Govich on the right and Zeri on the left of Frost?
I mean, I think that would be neat to watch. I think it'd be interesting to see what they could do together, and you wouldn't have any issues taking draws. If Frost gets thrown out, you can go to either side, and it would potentially work out in your favor. I think,
Yeah, that's kind of what
I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
I've never even thought of having them together, to be honest. Well, wasn't Sharon Govich playing with Zari and Huberdeau there for a bit
Yep. Yep.
at the end of the season last year?
And that's when Huberdeau first started to show signs of not sucking as well. And Sharon Govich was scoring right, left, and center last year. So literally because he played left, right, and center.
Zing. Zing.
I didn't even mean for that to happen, but it worked.
Wow. Well done. Well done. As a dad, I appreciate it.
I'm not one. I think. I hope. Anyways,
Tangent.
yeah. And then Mackenzie Weegar scores from Frost and Huberdeau. So that's Huberdeau's second apple of the night. And
Same with
Weegar's
Frost.
first point of the night and Frost's second assist of the night. Weegar got off the schneid. He's only got 7 this year after getting 20 last year.
He's going to go off for the last month and a half.
Yeah, it's hard to be mad at Weegar ever, right? Like he's leading the team in plus minus last I checked. Not that matters much, but he is a defenseman on a shitty team, or sorry, a mediocre team. My bad.
It is your bad.
He's got plus 29 this year. That's actually, or sorry, plus 12. Sorry, 29 penalty minutes, plus 12, which is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Holy shit, he had a season of plus 40. Given that was the President's Trophy year. But yeah,
Florida got his best years. No, I don't agree.
No, I think we got at least his best year last year. Yeah. So it was 5-2 at that point. Sean Couturier scores to about halfway through the third period. That Mitchkov kid is going to be something special. He's getting all sorts of assists. Yeah. Fancy goals, fancy assists. I'm excited to watch that kid play for the rest of his career. And then Matt Coronado ices it with again, this is not the first time Matt Coronado has done this, but you know how empty net goals are, like people shit on Ovechkin all the time because like, oh, he's got all these empty net goals. Well, if he worked as hard for his empty net goals as Coronado has with his last couple empty net goals, they all fucking count, and those ones really count.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, especially in the locker room, they count even more when you put in that kind of effort every time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and he does. He hustled to get that and made sure that he put it where he wanted, even though he was maybe not at the best angle, but he made sure that there wasn't another player in the way. And like, he didn't, a lot of guys just shoot for the empty net. The second they touch the puck, they're like, oh, get it off. But he like waits and makes sure that he's putting it where he needs to put it.
Yeah.
So that was a fun game, and it was a fun end to a really shitty stretch of games.
Yeah, they pretty much put bookends on the road trip, right, between Washington and Philly.
Yeah,
which is good. I mean, they still have one more game in the road trip, which is tomorrow. I guess technically today, if you're watching or listening today. They're in Dallas, so that'll be interesting. And from what I understand, Vladar is going to get the start for that.
And gonna bring out this trusty old thing because I got Wyatt Johnston on one of my fantasy squads, and he's been absolutely fucking lighting it up lately. That guy has a 2-point game, a hat trick, and two 1-point games, and then 2-point games. He's just like 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points in his last 6 games.
He's a point machine.
Yeah.
He's better than McDavid.
Yeah, well, he's probably a better leader than McDavid, but
Well, so is Kadri.
I guess, yeah. I don't agree at all. If there's anyone in the NHL who's a worse leader than McDavid, it's Kadri.
No.
I'm sorry, I have never bought that. I've never bought that. Kadri and the kids line. Dude sucked until the kids came along. The kids held that guy up.
Yeah, you dropped him.
Yeah. Anyways, don't have much else to say. It's going to be a fun week coming up. We got like you said, we got the Stars coming up. We got the Habs coming up, and then and then we got a few days off. Finally, the Flames could use a few days off at home, and then the Canucks and the Avs next week, which should be fun. I'm sure we will have a show sometime midweek next week, like we usually do. So we'll definitely talk about, at the very least, the Dallas and Montreal games, and possibly even the Canucks game if we record that late in the week.
I mean, potentially, if Dylan and I can get our act together, maybe Wednesday seems like a good candidate for another live. Potentially, might be able to rope in some Canuck fans into the audience there and see what they have to say about the outcome of the game after it's all said and done.
That would be fun, man. I'd like that. You want to get into any trade deadline talk? Like the deadline's coming up here in like a day and a half.
Yeah, I think we'll probably do maybe a show early in the week there and kind of discuss what has happened.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down with that. There's been some crazy stuff happening so far, but I guess we can get into all that next week.
Yeah, it'll be there's some big ones that have happened already, which is pretty interesting. Couple days out. There's even been a couple really big ones in the last week or two. Like there's been a lot of movement so far, leading up to the deadline, which is not super normal.
It's not. I'm going to call it. Chris keeps going robot mode again, so I'm going to call it.
Yep.
Make sure you check out our link tree. We'll put the link in the description. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Check out Rocky Mountain Maniacs on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever as well. They are the Calgary band that plays our entrance theme song, I like to call it, like we're some sort of action movie or something like that. They really rock. I really like their music. Check them out.
Yep.
And make sure you engage with us on social media at ArmChairGM_pod on X, on Facebook, Armchair GM Podcast. I'm all over the Flames subreddit. And yeah, we don't really do much else on social media there, but check us out.
Yep. Beauty. Well, until next time, let's keep cheering on the boys. Go Flames.
Go Flames.
Cheers.
Cheers.